Hey peeps, we are locking down the truth with Marci Lock live on Influential TV today with my brother from another mother. That just sounded like fun for whatever reason. Kyle Brown. Say hi, Kyle.
How's it going?
Hi, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
So I'm so excited today. If you guys have not seen us on Influential TV, it is the badassery of badassery. Only the most badass epic people come onto this show because my intention is to share a new belief system. The belief system that I live in, that life can be fucking fantastical in every single realm. And if it's not, if you're not experiencing 100% full capacity and power, epic awesomeness in your rockin' body of health, Kyle flex, because you have the flexi flex, come on. In the rockin' body of health, in the spiritual alignment and connection, in your finances, in your passion and purpose, in your business, in every aspect of your life, if you are not thriving, there's a massive disconnect going on inside you. And most of us have been living in this belief system that says, oh, 1 or 2 areas of life can be great, but not everything. So I say, fuck that. I'm divinely, a daughter of God. I'm worthy of all things in all aspects. So I love bringing on the most epic, amazing people who are standing in that truth and power and are standing as these examples of how they went from, the shit, the journey, the mess that we all experience in our own perfect growth process to the message that comes through them and sharing and standing in that truth and giving people the freedom through their teachings. Because, all together we are so much greater than we are alone. And obviously I believe there's so many amazing people to learn from. So Kyle Brown is one of these amazing people. I adore this guy. Adore you, Kyle. I adore you. Love him so much. Not only because, so I'll give you guys a little taste of Kyle, but then I'm going to let him share. So, but first off, if you guys are joining us for the first time, you can get any of the Marci Lock TV shows or the Warrior Woman radio shows on the Marci Lock app, which you can download on iTunes for free or marcilockapp.com or Google Play. You can also go to mindbody90.com to get a free video series to help you start to break through the bullshit and the belief systems keeping you from living in a rockin' body of health and life. So, we're going to jump in to give you guys a little taste of Kyle and why I asked this amazing man to come share with you today is not only is he known as the trendsetter, I mean, badassery. If anybody's known as the trendsetter, they're like on the latest and greatest and awesomeness of life. I want to know and I want to follow the trendsetter, and that is Kyle. He's known as the trendsetter because he's always been on the verge of everything before it came out, everything in nutrition in the body. I mean, this guy's ripped and shredded. And he's a celebrity fitness expert. He's got products in Whole Foods, so he's on he always was on the verge of the greatest, latest information knowledge before paleo or any of those things came out. He was the one who was already doing it. So Kyle, though, what I love is not only does he play a big game with, he's done charity stuff for teens and goes and speaks all over the place, and he has such a big, massive heart. But I love that his true message isn't just, hey, I'm a ripped, shredded dude that can teach you all the secrets that I teach the celebrities. But his true message is teaching people how to live the life that they want, the way that they want it, which I was like, booyah! Yes, brother, I love it. So I'm going to let Kyle dive in and share with you guys who he really is. So Kyle, tell us, who is really Kyle Brown?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Marci, for having me. Well, give you a little bit of a background. So a lot of people say, well, where's your overweight before and after? And I actually don't have one. My story started at about 6 years old. My before picture is me and my dad flexing at about 6. I was lifting weights in my dad's basement, just always involved with it. The first book I ever remember reading was a bodybuilding book, which is just crazy. It's literally the first book I ever remember reading. So I've always been passionate about it, and I've used this to kind of help me with overcoming any kind of shyness as a kid or angst as a kid. Is my outlet was physical, from sports to activities to then weightlifting and martial arts, you kind of name it. And I never thought I would make it a career. I was corporate, worked a corporate job out of school. And in '97, my dad had a slip and fall and broke his neck and almost died, got life flighted up to Milwaukee. When he kind of went through that process, they put a little cadaver bone in. So if he wants to look at you over on the side, he has to twist this way. And it just kind of showed me a little bit about the fragility of life, and was a quick gut check because it also showed me about taking self-responsibility. I was a sophomore in college, and it was like, hey, you're now financially independent. I know your school costs about $25K, so
Wow.
have fun. So it was like, okay, time to really make stuff happen. And I, back in 2001, tried doing the corporate thing. It just wasn't for me, and I just packed up everything I owned, my two-door Honda Civic. I headed out west to Cali, and to give you an idea of who Kyle Brown is, I basically said, I'm going to, there isn't much of a fitness industry. There's personal training, but I'm going to try to help, pioneer it and really turn it into an industry. So I've gone out, I've studied everything there is to know with fitness, nutrition, healthy lifestyle, and I've really realized that, it's not about the body, it's not about the nutrition, none of that has anything to do with anything. Those are all byproducts. The fuel is super important, but it truly is, who are you at your real raw essence, and then how do you realize what you are capable of? And that's why I think you and I connected so well, is that's what I do with these celebrities, is it's not just getting them ready for an event. As I say, okay, how am I going to make them truly feel as epic of a celebrity as they possibly can, so they can experience fulfillment? I get a lot of the guys who are in the midst of, hey, I've had this incredible hits, I've made $40 million, I have a #1 song everybody dances to. Now what? Everyone else around me is bringing me down. How do I really, truly enjoy life and continue to set goals and go after my dreams so that I'm fulfilled? And I know how to do that really well because I've done it for myself, because it's so important. So I would say I'm the kind of guy who basically is there behind the scenes, showing people how to really live an epic life.
So get real with us then, Kyle, because the reason you know this is because you jumped into, it sounds like the body was a familiar thing for you. You grew up knowing how to work with the body and studied the body, and you're just like, okay, so I can do this. I'll just start, training people and make some money here on the side. So when did you realize that you weren't fulfilled? What was your journey and your experience of realizing there's something missing? That it wasn't like, oh, if I look the part and the world says I'm awesome and I look awesome, that it's just not, it wasn't enough for you. What was that like?
I think I've always been about goal setting, and I've created a couple different goals. One was bench press 300 pounds. Okay, got that. That was no problem. Then another one was dunk a basketball. Got that one, no problem. There was ones around losing virginity, no problem. And I started looking for these really superficial crap to try to just achieve happiness. And I've always been about the why, and that was always really it. So I realized that, we had talked elsewhere about this whole concept of being all dressed up with nowhere to go. And
love that.
Actually a great little story. I remember I was living in the city of Chicago. I was a competitive bodybuilder at the time, and totally dialed into this lifestyle, eating super healthy and clean and working out. And I had this guy who wanted to set me up with this girl. He's like, oh, she'd be perfect for you for this reason, that reason. So he gets me on the phone with her, and he's like, oh, this is great. Why don't we go and meet at XYZ restaurant? And I'm like, I actually don't really eat out at restaurants right now. And she's like, oh, well, then we can just meet for drinks at this bar. And I was like, I don't really drink alcohol. And she's like, that's fine. You know what? Why don't we do coffee? I'm like, oh, I don't really do the coffee thing right now. And so lo and behold, she stands me up. I'm shocked and I'm floored. I'm like, I look phenomenal. I've taken great care of myself. I'm a happy, positive person, but I didn't really understand balance. And I think that was my first kickstart, and that was young 20s. But ever since then, really to get to the juice of it all is I definitely was not a happy, outgoing individual. I never really felt like I fit in and went with the norm. I've always kind of been the exception to the rule. And I think I tried to find happiness through all these different mediums, and I realized that that's not where you find it. It's really from personal power, and that's kind of what gave me fulfillment, is just years and years of kind of cutting down the, okay, what can I go out and find and do and explore, but really more like, how can I get into myself and figure out, who is Kyle Brown, and how can I be happy with Kyle Brown? And once I did that, I think a lot shifted.
So when did you start that journey, though? For you to just when was the moment when you said, wow, this is not fulfillment, and just looking the awesome part? Because, breaking through a lot of the bullshit of like how we have to show up for society to be accepted and loved, even you to go, okay, well, I look this part, I'm doing this, and then all of a sudden society, it looks like you're still rejected in society. You just pointed out one of the reasons why so many people end up sabotaging and they don't stay with living in a body of health is because they create these belief systems or perceptions that I'm not going to fit in, I won't be able to go out, or all this shit that we know that we get to break through and it's effortless and easy. But when was the moment for you, Kyle, that you're like, this is not fulfilling? And how did you get on that path of changing into discovering your power?
I think there have been a few times in life. I think that it wasn't just one aha moment for me. The first moment was 13, listening to Tony Robbins' motivational stuff because I knew I wasn't a happy kid. So I have tried a lot of the personal power things then. I realized it then, like one of these things is not like the other. But I think when I felt on the outside, like people said, wow, this guy's succeeding so much, he's doing all this celebrity stuff and whatnot. I think that for me was probably about 5 years ago when I was sitting here and I was training this celebrity rock star in their house. I finished up the session, they handed me some cash, and I'm in my drive back home and I was like, wait a minute, I am basically their pseudo prostitute, right? I'm just filling this role of therapist, of person who counts to 10 for them, of, you know, I really wasn't truly being their guide, their mentor. I was their trainer, and the dynamic of our relationship was not one of mentorship. It was much more one of therapist, which is totally different. A therapist in general.
You were their bitch boy?
Say it again?
Said you were their bitch boy?
Oh, I totally was their bitch boy.
Yeah.
You know, a therapist in general will sit there and listen and listen and listen and listen and not poke and prod enough to really wake somebody up to the fact that me sitting here listening to you is doing you no service. Me giving you some empowerment to change yourself is. So I kind of got to that point where, you know, with Harry Potter, they call them Death Eaters, which are the people who just kind of come to you and they just kind of just change the whole mood and environment of everything. And even though these people were rich as could be or a billionaire, they had that kind of mindset shift. And then for me, I kind of realized, like, wait, is this who I am? Is this who I want to be? Or do I have a bigger purpose? Do I really want to help people who want to help themselves? And that was kind of the aha moment for me in that sense.
So so when you realized that, what was the thing that allowed you to start taking different action? Because if you want different results, you got to create and do something different. And obviously from 5 years ago you were at to now being the trendsetter and having a different experience. What did you start to do for those people that are in a hole right now? What's the guidance you give them?
The best thing that I can tell you, it's so funny. So I'm at this certain level of, I guess we'll call it expertise or pseudo celeb. Yet one thing that was totally lacking in my personal life was mentorship and collaboration. I didn't want to share secrets. I didn't feel like I didn't really understand and honestly know that much about the concept of mentorship. For me, I thought mentorship was buy a CD, read a book, you know, have a boss. And that boss is my mentor. And
I'm just thinking of how much you got thrown in, like, in the fire in the last little bit then, huh? Right?
Yeah. I've had mentors in certain things. You know, I've got a mentor for stand-up comedy that I do since I speak to kids. I've got a mentor for professional speaking. I've gone out and got a mentor for everything next to sex. But the one thing I hadn't really gotten mentorship in is really how to take my life to that next level. And voila, only go with the best. You know, there's a bajillion people out there. Why would you go for anything less? It's kind of like a key. I look at it, right? A copy of a copy barely works in the door if it works at all. So I just go straight to the top.
Well, I'm honored to get to run with you, brother, and do all this fun stuff. So tell us what is in you changing that game now. So what you really learned to create and over the last 5 years, your journey became, how do we take people from unfulfilled and kind of living in this mask of emptiness, and even like you kind of embody not only the tips of how to live in health and why that's so important, but how to actually feel fulfilled as well. So what did you start to do with the celebrities and the things that you got into that allowed you to discover this lifestyle?
Oh, I remember a moment, actually. I had a client who played for the Lakers, he played for the Braves, but he's 74, so he's actually white and no taller than me.
Mm-hmm.
And he said this thing to me that really hit me hard. And he said, you know, you can lie to your friends, you can lie in the mirror, or you can lie to your friends, you can lie to your wife, you can lie to your girlfriend, you can lie to your mistress, you can lie to your business associates, but the one person you can't lie to is your mirror. And
Love
then he
it.
said, you know, that is truly it. And he said, you know, go home, go sit there, look in your mirror, and have a nice little conversation with yourself. And he's like, that's what's going to bring you fulfillment. And for me, that was truly the moment where I said, okay, you know, how do I want to do it? And then the best advice that I got from a friend, you know, kind of all kind of comes together cosmically, if you will, was a friend who is a coach said, I want you to go home and write your obituary. And then
Yeah.
tell me about your funeral. Who's there?
Mm.
Why are they there? What are they saying at your funeral? What kind of eulogy are you getting? And then live life backwards.
Yeah.
That kind
Reverse
of blew my
engineer.
mind.
And what kind of, you know, legacy did you leave? Who did you really affect and touch? So you experienced, so Kyle, a failed marriage. You were training celebrities, but broke as a joke, right?
Yep.
Like I know like a lot of the shit that you experienced. So
Oh yeah.
like wanting people to hear that it wasn't just, oh, I've known the body my whole life. I'm fit and I'm ripped and I'm awesome. And so I'm
Nope.
just going to come out. I'm going to start training some celebrities and make bank. And oh, and I'll teach you how to live a fulfilled life too. Like you went through some shit
Oh yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I chose to live my passion, and I chose to live my passion over my first marriage. It was either you're on the team or off the team
Mm-hmm.
situation because there wasn't the connect and the support. And I take full responsibility for that. But my goal in my situation was I knew what my passion was, I knew what my purpose was, but because of the lack of fulfillment and my money issues at the time, I was broke as a joke. I was
Mm-hmm.
going through a divorce. I had um, Honda call me and say, hey, do you still live at this address? I'm like, no, why? They're like, oh, because we got the repo guy outside your house and he can't find your car to take it from you. And I was like, oh, nice talking to you, click. And within about a 2 week period, I'd had knee surgery. I'm on crutches. Got no money in the bank, about 100K in debt, and that was when my life, my marriage, as you will, kind of fell apart. So um, it actually gets a little bit funnier, and I can say funny now because I truly believe everything happens for a reason. At the time, I sure would have been smiling and say it was funny. Um, was I remember sitting there. I had a celeb that was supposed to come to my house to train. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to pay rent. I brought my groceries in, and I left my door open, and my dog runs away. And I go, oh shit! I am living a country western song right now.
You
I'm broke. My
are.
wife left me. My dog just ran
Yep.
away, and it was just like
Yep.
I broke at that moment. I was just like on my knees, broke, and I drove about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 70 miles an hour, looking for my dog over there. And I'm just like, this is just like the shit hitting the fan. And what happened to me at that moment is I did this. I said, you know, I've got a decision. It's one of three options. I can see a therapist. That was me. I don't need to tell anybody about my problems. I need to change my problems. I can
Mm-hmm.
go get drunk, and I'm not much of an alcohol drinker, or I can just go be epic. And I literally made that decision then. I was training about 2 hours a day. I was getting sunlight. I was working on self-improvement. And there was a huge shift there, and that's got me back rocking and rolling.
So, or I can just be epic. I love it. I love
Yeah.
that. That's a great statement because that's it. It's like, so one of my favorite understandings and truths I love to teach is that how you choose to respond is exactly what you're asking for. So we all know the laws of the universe, and it's like the moment shit shows up and resistance shows up, if we go, oh, yep, see, because I can't, because, then it goes, yeah, so you just are declaring that's exactly what I want more of. This is the comfort zone I want to stay in. And so you said, I just get to go choose to be epic. So what was the action you took, and how did you really roll out now what you do? I mean, obviously you've got products in Whole Foods, the Fit 365 Shake, which is awesomeness. You went from just training celebrities to really mentoring and teaching people the game-changing nuggets that allow them to feel fulfilled and stand up in their truth and love what they see in the mirror and have a feeling inside. What does that really look like that you're a part of now, and how are you really affecting more people?
Oh, it's as fulfilling as it comes. It's truly life-changing, game-changing. It's so much more than a workout. Nobody's thinking in terms of, hey, I got to go meet up with Kyle to go do a workout anymore. It's just a whole nother level. And the way it really looks to me is like I I look at a concept of a coach at a completely different level. I think about from playing sports. I played college water polo. I think about the impact that the coaches had on me, and it had nothing. The best coaches had nothing to do with the skill sets that I learned in those sports. It was the life lessons and the way that I viewed myself because of the impact those coaches had. And that's the person that I've chosen to be with anybody that I work with, which is how can I give them me to have them see themselves in the best possible light. And the process is just awesome.
So what would you say was one of the biggest game changers for you? What was one of the biggest tools or nuggets that you could share with people that allowed you to start to show up differently?
I would say probably the biggest game changer that changed for me was I looked at, for example, these celebrities, these billionaires that I'm working with, and I sat back, and instead of admiring them as a fan or as somebody who has succeeded in life, I started to realize not only are they just people, but in many cases they are completely failing, right? You've got somebody who people are adoring. You've got a billionaire, super successful corporation, CEO of a Fortune 100 company, and people look up to and they admire these people, but if they really understood when it comes into the whole circle of life that they were totally lacking the most important things, which if you dig at the why, which is a quality of life factor and a happiness and a fulfillment, I said, well, if these people are failing there, then why am I beating myself up so much? Why am I putting myself with this pressure? What can I do for these people to help make them more fulfilled and do the same thing for myself? I think that was really the secret sauce of looking at, like, how can we kind of cut that facade that you need for the media? How can I cut that facade that I need to just show up every day and be some person who looks apart, plays apart, seems apart, and how can I just be me, enjoy being me, not care, be goofy, be the same person in front of anybody that I am in front of my kids, which is just playful, fun, goofy, ridiculous, not that serious, but just truly enjoys the essence of life. And that's the person I try to choose to be at every moment, and just do silly, fun stuff. It's a much more enjoying, fulfilling way to live. Then I don't have to remember who did I tell what and what did I say to who, and you just be you, and you just don't care, and you don't need a script. Just like you and I didn't need a script for today. You just talk and be real. It's easy. Yeah.
And I love that the truth that you're really sharing is authenticity and vulnerability. And when we're we're so used to wearing masks in society and it's all based on these belief systems that we got to show up a certain way and it has to look a certain way, and we're afraid of judgment or rejection. And it's like when we drop all that bullshit and we're just actually real, like we have the most amazing experiences and vulnerability, and we learn and grow from each other. Exactly. So you chose to just drop all the masks and just start to go internal into the belief systems that you were living in. I mean, now obviously you have an amazing marriage, you have beautiful children, you're thriving and fulfilled and getting to rock out life out here, living in paradise. You and I get to do this amazing event together called the Trendsetter Life, so that you can share more of your passion or purpose. So what does it really look like for people so first off though, I want to get clear in that you're not just giving people the body and the celebrity tips, because obviously you're well known for that. Like, you're well known for going, "Kay, let me teach you the tips and secrets that celebrities paid you high dollar for to know how to show up on that movie screen and look the way that they do." But see, what you recognize is there was so much more missing behind that, and it wasn't fulfilling for you when you just lived ripped and shredded with the body. But so I want you to, like, why do you think the body is important though? Is that a big part of the game? Is that's why you still do what you do? It's not something you just said, "Oh, I'm not teaching the body." Like, you still thrive and passionate about that, and why?
Oh, absolutely. I always tell people, and I speak to kids because a lot of times kids are a little different from adults for three reasons, which are excuses, excuses, and excuses. And the thing that I always tell kids is that self-confidence comes from building a powerful mind inside a healthy, strong body. So your shell is sort of a reflection of what's going on the inside, but there's so many people out there telling you just crazy misinformation that if you try to do it yourself, you're just really missing the boat. I mean, I could Google any word right now, any food. I could say, Broccoli. Broccoli is good for you. I'll find 500 articles backing that up. You say broccoli is bad for you. I'm going to find 500 articles backing that up. It's unreal. Literally, go home,
so true.
try it with any food, anything, any exercise, and it's just analysis paralysis. And I really think that people need to dial in their food. They need to dial in their body. It has such an impact. It truly is a holistic approach. Just like you said, I am the trendsetter because I've understood the importance of holistic approach for well over a decade, and know that you can't have one without the other. You're not going to succeed. And the reason I know it so well is because I failed at it myself. And I've been able to teach so many people the highest level how to do that. And to me, the kind of people that I like to surround myself with and work with and help are the people who, they get that, they know they need that, and not somebody's going to come to me and say, hey, Kyle, can you write me up a diet? And I'll usually, if they'll say, hey, Kyle, can you write me up a diet, I'll write on a piece of paper, say, go love yourself. and that's pretty much it. I've done that before, and I'll hand them a piece of paper, and I'll say, I'll talk to you later. And it's if they don't understand what that means, then they're not ready.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so huge. So, because obviously you and I are both super passionate about the body. We're both, fitness experts, and so there's a reason why we get that it's not just that if you have the weight it's showing up, it's not the problem. The weight's just the symptom, like you said, the byproduct of the root cause that's really going on. And the internal root cause is that you don't fucking love yourself, that you don't believe you're worthy or deserving of it. And so how do you go within and start to shift that game? And it's not about, so people most likely come to you like they do for me, wanting the body and thinking, if I just get the body, then I'm gonna, be confident and I'll want to show up in life more, and then I'll feel, I'll be able to go out and I'll get all these things I want. And I'm like, sure, come on, that's good. And then let's give you what you really need is let's clear the internal shit that's blocking you and keeping you sabotaging and running the same roller coaster. So obviously I believe if you're not that it's easy, and you do as well, because we know the how-tos, and the how-tos are the easy part. So that's a part of like you even take people to a deeper understanding of the how-tos that are easy, make it doable for life. But if you don't clear the shit out inside, then you're always going to sabotage it because you're fighting you're fighting your ego mind, which does not want to be forced, and it's a have to be good enough, have to be validated. So hence it doesn't work. So I love the fact you're just like, the core of everything is loving yourself.
Yep.
So what is the trendsetter life really about, and the path that you really take people down? So you and I are going to be doing an event together, the Trendsetter Life, so we can literally kick people's asses on teaching them these core concepts and experiential trainer. The thing that I love about there's a side of this it's always about growth and expansion for me. It's always about every single day I'm continually growing and expanding to the greatest version of myself. And so, I'm always going to be growing from coaches and processing and learning. But if you're, let's say for instance, you want to become a swimmer. And so you go, okay, I'm going to read some books on swimming. And like for you, when you first started mentoring, you're like, it's about reading books and listening to audio tapes and whatnot. And yet there's no one there to call you on your bullshit when you do that. You get it, you take in some good information, and this is why I love, seminars are awesome. I speak and teach at a lot of seminars. But what happens on Monday or Tuesday? Your shit shows back up. And you go right back into your old patterns because you're living subconsciously right now. You're not even living consciously. You're subconsciously reacting to everything that you believe you have to be, what you deserve, your identity patterns, your behaviors, all this. So Monday or Tuesday, triggers happen, pain buttons show up, and all of a sudden you're right back in your same shit, and there's no one to call you on it. So that's why, hence, you and I do what we do, and I have mentors and coaches in my life, is because it's like that's the only way to grow and progress is to have the accountability, learning the new skill sets, the mindset, having the environments of support to be able to continually up level. But what I do also find fascinating in like all the badasses that I work with, obviously with you as well, is that a lot of them have lived at 80%, and yet because we've been on this growth process of self-empowerment and working on ourselves, we've gotten to a certain aspect, but we still, because this is what I want people to hear that I feel like are wanting to experience a trendsetter life, is that when life is good and great, you don't have a lot of motivation to do much else. You're in a state of comfort. So when the only way to shift and change to have a different experience is there's got to be more pain in what you're experiencing and more pleasure and change to make you go, I want to go towards change. It's worth it to try to go towards change. But if we see more pain and change and more pleasure and just sitting where we're at, and this is why people go, eating healthy is hard. It doesn't taste good. I'd have to work out for hours a day. And they convince themselves of all this bullshit. then they go, oh, it's too hard, I'll just stay where I'm at. Or I'm afraid the inner shit, I'm afraid people are going to judge me, or I'm going to fail, or I don't know what it looks like, so I'll just stay here and I'll just, distract myself with associations to food to make me feel comfort.
Yeah.
But if someone says, I'm going to fucking die, I'm going to die of diabetes, or I'm going to lose my marriage, or, if you're broke is a joke and you're like, I can't survive, there is more pain in staying in the shithole than there is in change. And so yet you go, I get to do something different to do this. But what I find is that people who are living a pretty great life, there's not that really, there's a big need to change. And so they tend to stay living life at 80%, where this is what I talked about from the get-go. 1 or 2 areas of life are pretty good. You might be kicking ass in your business and rocking out business, but you're 20 pounds overweight, or your relationships are kind of shitty because you don't know how to truly show up and be fulfilled and connect. You might be sacrificing all your time and effort towards your business, and so hence, that's why the body or the relationships are off, or vice versa. You might have the rockin' body, which you and I experienced, Kyle, right? Having a rockin' body, but there was nothing else fulfilling in your life. You were not in tune and connected and living in your passion and purpose. So 80% is bullshit. When you have the true power to live at 100% capacity and power. So part of it is, yes, there gets to be a path and a journey to discover how to get there. So a lot of people go on this self-empowerment process. But what I find is interesting is you can process, you can like, so let's go back to the example of being a swimmer. If I want to be a swimmer and I go to seminars and being a swimmer, and maybe I process being a swimmer, maybe why I'm afraid of the water, or, I visualize and I see myself in the water being a swimmer, and I meditate on being a swimmer, and like I talk to a coach about being a swimmer, all this stuff, right? But until you get in the fucking water, you are not a swimmer. You're not a swimmer.
The movie American Pie, the kid tried with an apple pie, and we saw how that turned out, right? That's
oh, snap.
that's not a good way to get started in anything in life. And I think you're spot on with the 80% concept. Again, getting back to your actual tombstone, who wants, he lived a pretty good life, B- written on your grave. Like, that's not what I want on my tombstone. I want something like, holy cow. Wow.
I want holy fucking fantastical shitballs. That's
Absolutely.
what I want.
Done. They're going to have to make an extra big tombstone just to put everything that you've done and everything that you've created and everyone that you've impacted. Just a big ass wall that just says, holy freaking epicness. I have helped all of these people, and my intent is for a party at my funeral that is so big that they got to put a velvet rope up to try to see if people can come in. They're going to check IDs. So that's the way I look at it.
It's just about, why not? That's the thing, though. If people go, why settle for good when you can have great, and then you can have amazing, and then you can go fucking fantastical and have every aspect of your life thriving? And I love that you and I are so aligned in this belief and this truth, that that's what life gets to be like. And until you learn, what are those, and this is why the experiential is the deeper inner stuff that's keeping you from experiencing that knowingness and that beingness of the truth of who you are and the greatness that's inside you and the limitless, powerful creator that you are. So I want people to hear this. Creation is happening effortlessly all the time. You are effortlessly creating right now. You're not struggling to breathe and be here. You're creating in this very moment. The sun is beautiful. I mean, I've got these gorgeous palm trees right here in my big old windows shining out, and the sun is not struggling to shine. The grass is growing. The birds are flying and singing. Creation happens effortlessly. So you're divinely, infinitely a creator, and yet what you're vibrating at the core level is what you're creating. And are you even aware of that? Because Einstein says no problem can ever be solved from the state at which it was created. So if you're the root belief system inside you is I'm unworthy, I don't deserve it, I'm worried about judgment, I'm holding myself back, I'm shrinking my greatness, I can't speak my truth, all these things, you're vibrating at this core level a shitty ass vibration. Exactly. That says that I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy, even though you might not even be conscious of it. And so you can never create something different. And this is why I see people don't truly manifest so easily and effortlessly, and manifest living an awesome, phenomenal life, is because their root belief systems say, I don't deserve it, I'm not worthy, I'm scared, I don't know what it's going to look like, I'll hold back. And on the surface, they're doing, business strategies and one thing after another on the surface taking action, but the root belief systems don't align, so you don't manifest it. And that's what you're so passionate about and I'm so passionate about. And so I'm super stoked and excited to be able to do trendsetter, the trendsetter life. So where do people get in touch with you, Kyle, and find out how they can work with you?
So the best thing people can do to start is go to KyleBrownESPN.com. Contact me there. You can check me out through social media under Kyle Brown or Strive, the number 4 fitness. So Facebook.com/Strive4Fitness. The biggest thing to do to get started is really just get a sense of who I am, and what I'm doing is hop on there, see some of the stuff, interact with me, ask me questions. I'm here to help. That's what I do.
Take fucking action. Okay, if you're going to go to Kyle's page and browse at Kyle, this is exactly how you're showing up in your life. So if you want a trendsetter life, someone who lives on like the verge of like experiencing the most greatest awesomeness all the time, that's really what Kyle does, is teaches people how to be fulfilled internally and how to show up in Rockin Body, in spiritual alignment, in connected relationships. If you want to live this type of life and you're not experiencing that, if there's something missing for you, then I greatly recommend you reach out to Kyle and you message him and you say, hey dude, how can I be a part of your trendsetter life experience? How do I get into that interview process? Because it is an interview process. You don't just work with anybody who's isn't ready to show up and play.
Exactly. I don't need any more stalkers. I don't need any more wallflowers. Again, you want that written on your tombstone. Hey, I was a wallflower. I saw some really cool stuff, but I sat on the wall. This isn't a junior high dance where you just sit there and be like, man, I really wish I would ask her to dance, but I don't have the balls. That's not how life is meant to be lived. I was that kid sitting on the wall looking at everybody having fun in junior high going, man, it's too bad I'm shy. So I just projected that as anger. And that's not how you want to live. You don't want to look back and tell your grandkids about how cool the lives were of the people you knew and telling stories about people you knew. You want to tell stories about yourself.
Yeah, well, and Kyle, while we're touching base on that, because like I know I want to wrap up, but like there are 3 types of people in this world. There's spectators, participants, and creators, and there's like 1% of us are creators, and so it's like there's in that what I think is fascinating is 98% of people stop after just 2 to 3 tries of going after what they want. That's why 99% of the population is just going through the motions and not experiencing the life that we really have the gifts and the ability to live and experience. And 1% of us is experiencing that. But it's because after just 2 to 3 tries, we go, oh, I can't do it. I'll just sit back and I'll watch. So, I mean, spectators just sitting and watching. And then the participants are the ones that are just taking advantage of so there's consumers and producers. Those producers are the 1%, and the consumers are like, oh, I'll take what you have to offer, but I'm just going to sit and I'm just going to chill. Bullshit, right? Like bullshit. That's what we're trying to say, people. It's bullshit. There's so much more that you can be experiencing and offering. So, Kyle, you are a genius at teaching people how to do this, and it's so cool to see you be able to shift your game from just being that guy who was the bitch boy for the trainers and the celebrities and, just like, just like making them feel good and teaching them how to look good. But now you've incorporated really giving those secrets and those tools of not how to rock out the body, but also how to rock out your entire life and share. And I'm honored to know you. I love you dearly. I adore you. That's why it's been so cool to connect with you and even have you a part of like Badass and the stuff that I do and just doing all that we get to do. And I'm excited and looking forward to the Trendsetter event that we get to do together. So if you guys are interested in that, again, I'm going to give them your email again. So it's KyleBrownESPN.com, or go to Facebook, message Kyle directly and say, hey, dude, okay, how do I get in on this interview process, and being able to come to the Trendsetter Life and get the details from him there. And if you guys are obviously looking to get we also offer the free video series, mindbody90.com, that you can start to look at the bullshit holding you back from your rockin' body of health and your awesome life, or going to, again, to marcilockapp.com to get the Marci Lock app for all these awesome TV shows and different things. So Kyle and I do a lot of fun stuff together, so I'm sure if you start to follow and watch what's going on, there'll be more funness that gets to explode from us. Kyle, what's the last tip I want you to share? Like if someone is totally in the hole and they're hearing how you went from being in the hole and that shitty life experience and to literally living an epic Trendsetter life, what's the last thing that you would really say to those people?
Change your lenses. My dad was an eye doctor. I grew up where it was all about the lens and what you're looking through, and really people don't see through their eyes, they see through their brain. And it's really all about having that lens. I think it's not, I'm not telling you to go get your eyes tested. My dad isn't doing that. I don't need to give him any plugs. Just change your lens. It's literally all about perspective. They say if you can't change your circumstances, change your perspective, and then your circumstances will change. And that's just matter of fact. Change that perspective. Yep. Realize that you're the only reason why you're stuck in this shitty situation now. It's your choice. If you enjoy being a whiner and complainer and sad and depressed and overweight and sick, just like go look in your mirror. Tell that mirror every single excuse that you possibly have. Look in your eyes while you say it. And if you still believe it, great. If you don't, contact me.
Yes, I love that. Awesomeness. That's it. Your perception creates your possibility, and there's a path to teach you how to see consciously the perceptions that you're looking through, the eyes, the lenses that you have on, and how to like take off those foggy glasses and chuck and be like, oh, life just went from good to great and great to amazing and amazing to fucking fantastical. So nice. Awesomeness. I love it. Thank you so much, Kyle, for being here with me today. I love and adore you. I'm so grateful for you creating the time to do it, and look forward to all the awesomeness that we get to share together. So for you peeps today that got to join us, again, go follow Kyle, go tune in, message with him, and continue to rock out your awesome, amazing life. This is Marci Locke and
Kyle Brown, the trendsetter. Love you guys.
That's right. That the power of choice is yours. Choose your best life and go knock it down.